quite a few rookies that were selected are being thrust into some questionable predicaments.
Jameson, you step off the plane into Detroit, you arrive here at the facility. What are your first impressions?
Some of the top prospects of the 2022 class are in tough positions to succeed right away. These 10 hyped-up rookies are in rather uninspiring situations to start their professional careers. Trayvon Walker. For the Jacksonville Jaguars, taking Trevor Lawrence first overall in 2021 was an absolute no-brainer. And there is not a single scout, pundit, or Jaguars fan out there who would disagree. The Trayvon Walker pick is a different story, however. Most people viewed Michigan product Aiden Hutchinson as the better prospect. Sauce Gardner, Evan Neal, and Ika Mekwonu were other more polished prospects that probably deserved to go well before Walker. But the Jaguars gambled on Walker's high upside and made the Georgia defensive lineman the top pick of 2022. Unlike several recent first overall picks, however, Walker isn't exactly a sure thing to succeed. The potential is absolutely there, but we're talking about a guy who only had 9.5 sacks in 3 collegiate seasons. Furthermore, the Jaguars are by far the NFL's worst organization when it comes to developing talents. Blaine Gabbert, Justin Blackmon, Luke Joeckel, Blake Bortles, and Dante Fowler Jr. were all supposed to be stars too, remember? Walker is headed to a dysfunctional organization with very little talent on either side of the ball, and the pressure for Walker to deliver early and often doesn't really help matters either. Here's to hoping Walker can make the best of a bad situation and become a star. But the Jaguars most certainly are not the ideal place for him to succeed right away. Jameson Williams. After taking Aiden Hutchinson with the number 2 selection, the Lions decided they wanted more in the first half of round 1, so they swung a deal with the Minnesota Vikings to move up into the number 12 slot. Detroit got the 12th and 46th selections from their NFC North rivals in exchange for the 32nd, 34th, and 66th picks. The Lions then used the number 12 selection on Alabama wideout Jameson Williams, who would have likely been the top receiver taken in this class if it weren't for the ACL tear. Unfortunately for Williams, however, there are several obstacles to overcome if he's actually to produce in the early going with the Lions. Recovering from the torn ACL is one thing, but so is getting on the same page as Jared Goff, who is not exactly a top 20 quarterback these days. Not to mention that the Lions aren't exactly the best organization when it comes to developing offensive talent. Remember Mike Williams, Riley Reiff, and Eric Ebron? And I don't think we have to remind you about how things have gone for Detroit's other offensive stars in the past. If Williams landed in a high-flying offense with a top 10 QB, we would really like his chances of competing for Offensive Rookie of the Year honors. But it's gonna be pretty difficult for him to take off in a Goff-led offense. And again, the Lions organization alone doesn't exactly inspire much confidence for us. Malik Willis. It was shocking to see Liberty QB Malik Willis slip out of the first 2 rounds. Finally, the reigning AFC South champion Tennessee Titans took Willis in round 3 with the number 86 selection though. Now on one hand, Willis's electrifying dual-threat game makes him an intriguing fit on Mike Vrabel's team. If Derrick Henry can stay healthy and continue to dominate in his late 20s, he and Willis could really take this offense to another stratosphere. Yet despite all that, Tennessee still isn't quite the best landing spot for Willis. He may have been better off with the Atlanta Falcons, Carolina Panthers, or Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, teams that actually need a long-term starting option at quarterback. Tannehill may be inconsistent, but he's taken Tennessee to the playoffs 3 times, along with 1 AFC Championship game appearance and 2 AFC South Division titles. At age 34, he's not exactly old or past his prime. Furthermore, Tannehill made it pretty clear that he's not going to mentor Willis, since that's not his job to do so. Not only will that make things kind of awkward in the Titans quarterback room, but it also doesn't bode well for the development of Willis. And if Tannehill continues to play at a productive level for a few more years, then what? Will Malik ever get the chance to shine with the team that drafted him? Or will this be a Jimmy Garoppolo in New England or Jordan Love in Green Bay type of situation? We're not saying Willis is going to be a flop in Tennessee. For all we know, the kid could be ready to dominate right off the bat. But the Titans just aren't the ideal landing spot right now. Not as long as Tannehill is still around. Phidarian Mathis. The Washington Commanders selected Phidarian Mathis in the number 47 spot, which left us awfully surprised for pretty obvious reasons. Washington has arguably the deepest front 7 in the entire league. It all starts with Chase Young, but Daron Payne, Jonathan Allen, and Montez Sweat are also emerging into stars. Not to mention that the 2021 first-rounder Jamin Davis has the potential to become a big-time impact player as well. Mathis is going to struggle to find much playing time on that deep front 7. Yes, the Alabama product put up 9 29 sacks in his final college season and has the tools to dominate in this league. It's just not ideal that he's going to a team that boasts a top-tier defensive line. Mathis, for instance, would have been in a much better situation if he went to a team with a much more pressing need for pass rushers like New England, Atlanta, or Arizona. Longdale Robinson. Anyone else notice that the New York Giants organization has suddenly become a place where wide receivers go to die? Brandon Marshall and Golden Tate can tell you all about it. Kenny Golladay sure flopped as a Giant in year one. Kadarius Toney didn't cut it as a rookie either. But of course, the whole Giants wide receiver graveyard thing isn't the main reason why we have Robinson on this list. Robinson was simply way too big of a reach in the number 43 spot. The Giants already have two smaller wideouts in Toney and Sterling Shepard. If anything, Daniel Jones needs more big-bodied guys in a make-or-break year, especially with Evan Ingram now gone. Between Golladay, Shepard, Toney, Saquon Barkley, and Darius Slayton, Jones already has a lot of guys he'll have to get the ball to. Is Robinson really gonna steal away targets from all those other options? Yeah, no, we don't think so either. But the main thing is that Jones has yet to really establish himself as a starting caliber QB. So Robinson now goes to a team with a terrible quarterback and a ton of receivers. Not to mention their long history of wasting talent at the wide receiver position. Add it all up, and it's hard to like Robinson's chances heading into year one. Treylon Burks. The Titans pulled off a 2022 draft day shocker when they traded away top receiver A.J. Brown to the Philadelphia Eagles for first and third round selections. With the number 18 pick obtained from Philadelphia, Tennessee took Arkansas wideout Treylon Burks. Now, as we've said several times now, Tennessee should have just paid Brown what he was worth. He's an established commodity after all, whereas draft picks are essentially lottery tickets. So now, Burks has the pressure of performing like a top 10 or 15 receiver to make the Brown trade even worthwhile.
I wouldn't say, like I'm his replacement, but at the same time, I'm just, like I said, I'm just thankful for the opportunity that they believed in me to make that trade and, believe in me to go out there and represent that organization like it's supposed to be represented. And, that's what I'm going to do.
And there is no guarantee that Burks will flourish with Ryan Tannehill. Not to mention that the Titans will be a run-first offense with Derrick Henry. We were hoping that Burks would have landed on a team with a top-tier quarterback like Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers. But let's face it, Tannehill is good, but he's certainly not an elite quarterback. And in this Tennessee offense, it's going to be hard for Burks to maximize his production out of the gate. Tyrion DavisPrice. The trade-up for Trey Lance left the San Francisco 49ers with very limited draft capital this year. So, quite frankly, it was kind of stunning to see them use a third-round pick on the position that they are the deepest at. San Fran took LSU running back Tyrion DavisPrice with the number 93 selection in the draft, even though they have two young studs in Elijah Mitchell and Trey Sermon. Not to mention, when healthy, veteran Jeff Wilson Jr. has the potential to be a number one running back as well. So, who is DavisPrice going to unseat here as the starter? The 49ers have 3 players ahead of him on the depth chart. The third round is not the time to take a number 3 or 4 running back on your roster. It's very difficult to understand the 49ers thinking here. It's gonna take an impressive preseason and a ton of injuries for DavisPrice to move up in the depth chart. If Kyle Shanahan decides to make DavisPrice the lead back right away, then it's a different story. But why would Mitchell, Sermon, or Wilson not get the opportunities to lead the backfield first? Sam Williams. The Dallas Cowboys selected Ole Miss defensive end Sam Williams in round 2 at number 56 overall. He could have gone considerably earlier if not for some serious off-the-field issues. But at any rate, the Cowboys were fine taking the risk. Williams posted 12.5 sacks and 4 forced fumbles in his final season with the Rebels. And hey, on paper, he should fill a need for the Cowboys. Right? Well, not necessarily. Williams will have to fight hard for a starting spot come week 1. Dallas already has DeMarcus Lawrence, Neville Gallimore, and Dante Fowler Jr. leading the defensive line. And star linebacker Micah Parsons is also used as an edge defender quite often, which makes matters even more complicated for Williams on his new team. Trey Mcbride. Most folks agreed that McBride was the best tight end in this class by a comfortable margin. But 1 year after we saw Kyle Pitts go 4th overall to Atlanta, McBride, who was the first tight end taken in 2022, had to wait until the 55th selection to hear his name. The Arizona Cardinals selected the John Mackey Award winner, giving Kyler Murray another weapon to help an already deep offensive group. If you're Murray, you like this pick. But if you're a fan of McBride and want to see him produce right off the bat, well, good luck with that. In case you forgot, Zach Ertz was a phenomenal pickup for the Cards ahead of the trade deadline, to the point where Arizona was happy to extend him for 3 more years. The Cardinals also happen to have a world-class wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins, along with offseason pickup Marquise Hollywood Brown and sophomore Rondale Moore. And you know they're still going to run the ball aplenty with Murray and 3-upped James Conner. At this time, McBride looks like the number 4 or 5 option in Arizona's passing game. He is not taking over for Ertz as the lead tight end. And we really shouldn't expect Cliff Kingsbury to run very many 2 tight end sets on passing plays, not with all those wideouts he has. McBride could eventually be a star in Arizona, it just might not happen anytime soon. Kenneth Walker III. The third Walker taken in this draft, funny enough, behind Trayvon and Quay, is viewed by many as the top running back prospect in this class. The Michigan State standout went to the Seattle Seahawks on day 2 at number 41 overall. And on paper, it's a great leading spot for Walker. As everyone knows, Pete Carroll loves to run the ball. But the 2020 Doak Walker and Walter Camp Award winner will have his work cut out for him. That's because the Seahawks already boast 2 quality running backs in Chris Carson and Rashad Penny. A healthy Carson is usually a shoo-in to hit 1,000 rushing yards a season. Penny finally broke out in year 4, racking up 749 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns in 10 games. Now, if Carson and Penny stay healthy, will Carroll really need to lean on Walker to lead the backfield? That feels kind of like a long shot at this point. He may be the most talented of the 3, but Walker's gonna have to earn his playing time in year 1. The running back position is all about opportunities. Had he landed on a team like the Chiefs, Falcons, or Texans, we would be loving Walker's chances at earning Offensive Rookie of the Year honors. But in Seattle, with a lackluster offensive line and 2 very capable backs ahead of him on the depth chart, it's hard to imagine the former Spartan's career getting off to a hot start. But what other NFL rookies are in horrific situations entering 2022? Join us in the comments section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.